Southwest Florida. We're glad you stayed with us as we finished the second part of our show. We get a chance to talk to Brandon Nicholas Cooper, an outstanding legal mind. He's the chair of the Legal Redress Committee for the NAACP in Collier County. Also a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, one of the great fraternities in all the land, the Blue and White Brothers. Welcome to Leap Is Live, man.
Thank you for having me.
Let our television audience know that there's nothing illegal in that cup, Counselor.
Nope. All we have is coffee here.
Okay. Counselor, you made a name for yourself as well on social media. You have a tendency to deliver some great information and insight into a lot of things that are impacting society. So I thought it'd be a great time for me and you to sit down and talk about Donald Trump and how African Americans in particular should function under the Donald Trump administration as president. What does Donald Trump mean to the African American community?
Donald Trump is our 45th president, and he's a call to action. And I mean that in a positive way. Donald Trump is a way and a message that African Americans have to be involved throughout all the processes, not just the presidency, but their local processes. They have to be involved with their school board. They have to be involved with their judges. They have to be involved with their prosecutors. They have to be involved across the board, both locally and nationally.
Why is that?
It's important because you want somebody to advocate for your issues. Donald Trump is not the president of one particular sect of people. He's the president for all people. So if you want your message advocated, you have to be able to work with the person who is representing you, and that happens to be Donald J. Trump.
So all of these particular African American people who see people who are going up to visit with Donald Trump, and in many cases they're being called coons, sellout, and all these different types of things. And I will say this with the fact that you're not here representing any political party. You're just here as a conscientious observer and a advisor for the NAACP in Collier County as a legal redress officer. When those people are engaging and being involved with Donald Trump, is that a good thing for all African Americans that are having conversations with Donald Trump?
Absolutely. You have to have a conversation. That's the only way you get work done. The only way you come to a compromise is to have a dialogue. You can't be on one side of the spectrum like a Snoop Dogg or a Bow Wow, people who are blasting the president in a very negative way, in a very inflammatory way, because that takes away from the message. And then you have people that are zoning in on that, and it's a less positive message than people who are actually trying to meet with the president, have a dialogue. Now, what happens in those conversations and where it goes from that dialogue is a different question, but it's very important to have a conversation.
So your position is that, not you, but the position is that you can't get anything done if you don't have some dialogue.
Absolutely. You have to be able to work with people. There are people out in the streets who don't have jobs. There are people who are starving. There are people who are worried about their children, and they're worried about their children and their situation now. And if you just try and pull and pull and pull, when you're in a tug of war with somebody, sometimes you gotta let that rope, you gotta ease up on that rope, let them take a little bit, and then you can put your footing down and grab the rest of the rope.
What about the African Americans who say, well, the way we can succeed at this is to get Donald Trump impeached, to protest, and to raise a lot of hell?
See, I'm a pragmatic person, and I know that throughout the process of history, we've only had 3 conversations about impeachment, and we've had 45 presidents. And of the 3 conversations we've had, Bill Clinton, Johnson, Nixon, none of those guys were successfully impeached in terms of they never got kicked out of office. So that's never happened. Nixon stepped down before he was impeached. Then the other conversations we had are Bill Clinton and Johnson. They went through the House and then got dismissed in the Senate. Now, I know pragmatically with a House and a Senate that are Republican built by Paul Ryan that having an impeachment discussion is out the window.
So it's actually pie in the sky.
It is.
Okay, so knowing that you're going to have to function under that umbrella, and you may not agree with some of the policies and things that you may see coming down from Donald Trump. You may say Donald Trump is anti-minorities. What should you do?
Now, I mentioned involvement earlier, and that's why Donald Trump is just one section of government. We have 3 branches: political, legislative, and executive, as well as judicial. So Donald Trump's just the executive branch. We still have a judicial branch, we still have a legislative branch, and they serve as checks and balances. If you want people to get involved, you have to learn ways to promote those people in the other branches so that Donald Trump doesn't get to do everything he wants to do without having a dialogue with the other branches of government.
Oftentimes when we read your writings, and you're a great writer in delivering information in a way that we all can understand, you talk about the power of the pen, which people rah, 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 screaming, signs, protesting, but the power of the pen behind closed doors is where action gets done. Elaborate on that.
I like to see people in the trenches. I like to see, when I go out and I volunteer, my wife, she's an advocate philanthropist and a volunteer at Aval Hospice. When we go out in the communities, we like to see people who are working towards the progress that they talk about, working towards the things that they complain about in social media. Because if you're not out in the community and people don't see you, they take that as this person doesn't care. And I think a lot of people get lackadaisical when Obama was in office. Oh, we have somebody who represents us, who represents our causes, and they stop working. Mm-hmm. And I think that they really have to get in a mindset that if they want things done, they have to do things like join their local chapter of the NAACP. They have to do things like go out, and they have to find a way to make a meaningful impact in the community.
When people say that Donald Trump cabinet picks indicates that he has no interest in the lower income people, middle income people, it's all about the wealthy people, and it's the end of the world.
Right.
Your thoughts?
Cabinet picks have to be confirmed by the Senate majority. There are 100 senators. So that means that if Donald J. Trump puts somebody up there, they have to be confirmed by the Senate. Now, if you have senators that don't represent your best interest, then of course they're going to ease on through. And we've seen that in some instances. Some people who are less qualified, or some people who had credentials that may have been questionable, they just ease on through that hearing process, because on a local level, we don't take care of business. But then we want to complain on a national level when things go one way or another.
It appears that in general, when a black person is a Republican, has Republican views, they seem to be ostracized from the community being a part of the Republican Party. Is it a good thing to have black people in the Republican Party?
You have to have black people in the Republican Party, because if there are no black people in the Republican Party, that means that our interests aren't even being broadcast in rooms and dialogues with the other party, with the Republican Party. You know, African Americans should thrive under any presidency. They should thrive under a Democratic president. They should thrive under a Republican president. And we have to expand the dialogue. You can't decide you're going to have a dialogue with one party and not have the same dialogue or give the same opportunity with the other party. And oftentimes that's what happens. And it's unfortunate because it closes doors and opportunities for other people.
Final question. How would you characterize the 8 years of the Obama administration as it relates to the African American community? Any substantial improvements?
I think there were substantial improvements. I know that I was in college when Barack Obama became president, and it was one of the things that inspired me to be an attorney. So I can say at least one kid, who grew up in Louisiana decided, he saw that somebody could be president and then decided that he was going to make his own impact. So I definitely feel that President Obama inspires people, but it's up to us to take that torch and to keep running and moving forward with the progress.
Down the road, we want to put you on our list as one of the legal advisors for Leapers Live. Continue to get you back here in the future and continue to educate us. How about that?
Absolutely.
All right, Frat, let's bump. No handshake, we bump, bro.
Yes, sir.
As the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like Nicholas and all the fine people who are associated with the NAACP of Collier County who are doing it. We'll be right back.